everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Black-Liberation.Tech Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Renée Jordan, and today, before we jump into a lesson from the Black-Liberation.Tech open educational resource, I want to give a call back to the very first episode that I did, and it was entitled PhD. I Did It Because I Can. And the reason I want to revisit that at this point is because a part of my social media marketing campaign includes highlighting things from that episode. And so I'm going to take this opportunity to encourage anyone listening to go back to season one, episode one, and give it a listen. Now, here are some questions that you might have before or after listening to the episode, and I want to take a moment to answer them. So, the first one, when you say, I did it because I can, how did you know you could before you had proof? Well, I assume proof being having graduated with a PhD. So I had never had a PhD before. There are people out there who have multiple PhDs or multiple doctoral degrees. And so my PhD program that I engaged in, that I completed successfully, was the Instructional Technology PhD program at Georgia State University. And it is true. I did not have proof in that I've gotten or obtained a PhD from Georgia State before. However, I was able to successfully complete a bachelor's in biology, a master's in education, a master's in public policy, and I kept seeing a pattern of me being able to take on challenging programs and complete it successfully. Why? Because I was motivated, I was determined, I was given the opportunity because they actually accepted my application. And so it was a matter of time and opportunity. I decided to make time for a PhD. I decided to take advantage of the opportunity that was extended to me to obtain a PhD. And that came with meeting criteria beforehand. And one of the criteria that I remember that kept showing up whenever I applied to a graduate school program was that they wanted to make sure that you had Calculus 1. And I completed Calculus 1 in my biology degree program. So can you imagine being able to successfully pass that class? I'm not saying I got an A, but I successfully passed that class. It counted towards my major. It counted towards graduation. Being able to do that in undergraduate school helped me with 3 other degrees afterwards. After that, I didn't have to take it again. And so taking a look at what it was required, as far as what was required, knowing that I had advanced statistics class, as well as research methods courses, as well as knowing that it was something that I really wanted to do. And when I put my mind to completing something, I really push with all I can. And another reason I say I did it because I can was because I learned to trust my capabilities, my expertise, my ability to ask questions when I wasn't clear on something, my determination to get a clear understanding of material and of the things that I was supposed to learn and understand and practice and do, specifically the public policy program, and I was taking an advanced statistics course. I said, hey, I'm asking this question because I'm going to get a PhD and I need to know what I'm talking about. I wasn't satisfied with just being able to go through the process of completing a problem and obtaining an answer. I wanted to be able to explain in regular, everyday language what it meant beyond the term statistically significant. I want to be able to say, what does that mean to the regular, everyday person? And because I was a first-hand witness in my determination to understand, my determination to follow instructions, my determination to follow up when things were not clear, I knew that once they opened the door to the PhD program to me, I was going to be on it and I would do what was necessary to complete it. Now, did that mean I did not have to make adjustments and recalculations and or take additional research classes? No, I took a whole lot more research classes. As a matter of fact, I also took the opportunity to engage in the research process while supervised, while working with my advisor And as a result, I was that much more prepared to do it on my own, if you will, meaning it would be my project from start to finish. I also understood that there are different ways of completing a PhD. At the institution where I attended, you could do your own project and have a 5-chapter dissertation, or you could have a 2-chapter dissertation where you display the ability to successfully publish 2 research articles. And so I went the 5-chapter route with my own project. Now, in addition with having my own project, there's also ways of doing that. I did my own project where I collected data, but I also worked as a graduate research assistant. Some of my research partners, my colleagues, my peers, those who are also in the PhD program, took it upon themselves to establish their own questions and use the data that we collected from our graduate research assistantship with my advisor and his colleagues, the co-PIs, in order to complete their dissertation. So there's ways of getting things done. The question is, what's going to work best for you? Now, the reason I had to settle on the point, I got a PhD because I can, also goes back to a statement that one of my classmates made during our seminar course. So the seminar course was a course that we had to take up until we completed our comprehensive exams to make sure that we were doing the things that would prepare us for the comprehensive exam as well as our prospectus. And so, if you will, we had the chance to keep track of our residency requirements as well as the different parts of your CV, literature review, proposing research questions, presenting your research, and things of that nature. One of the people in my class said that she was getting a PhD for fun, and my mind was blown. She explained that she already had the job that she wanted, her dream job. She was already tenured in it because of her master's degree. And so she was getting a PhD for fun. And so I decided from her response that I needed to take off a cape that came along with the notion of, oh, Renée, you have to do this for all of the Black girls out there. No, I needed to do it for myself. I am the Black girl who needed to get it done for herself so that I would be another Black woman on the other side of the statistic that says how many Black women have a PhD in instructional technology. I do. And so I say I did it because I can, because I was given the opportunity. I decided that I saw that I was able or capable of handling challenging programs and finishing it. I knew that I was able to make adjustments along the way that would help me get through it. And I knew how to speak up for myself as well as advocate for myself. And so when I say I did it because I can, it was because I have a long-standing history of knowing that if I'm given the time and opportunity to take on a challenge, I'm going to do what I can to complete it to the best of my ability. I also did it because I can, because I allowed myself to take off the Superwoman cape that said I had to do it for everybody else and instead just say, I'm going to do this for myself. This is something that I really want to do for myself. And as a result of completing it, I will be able to say that I did it. And because of the type of person I am, while I was going through my program, I helped other people along the way with advice, with encouragement, with being a cheerleader. I'm one of the best cheerleaders you're ever going to meet. If you need somebody to say, go, you can do it, go, that's me. Because I appreciate it when people tell me that. And so that's the very same encouragement that I give back to people. And as a result, I mentioned in one of my podcasts either last week or the week before, one of my mentees graduated from the same program that I attended. And it was a result of me encouraging her along the way and redirecting her because she could do it and she could do it for herself and she did it for herself. And I am very proud of her. Now, here's another question. What if I'm capable, but I don't feel confident yet? Well, check your track record. Have you been able to take on a challenge and complete it even though you were nervous? Were you able to do something scared? And I'm talking about at any place in time, whether it was school, whether it was for extracurricular activity, whether it was a sport, whether it was for some type of volunteer work that you were doing. Think back. Did you have a challenging experience and it was something that you wanted to complete or finish or reach a goal and do it and you did it even if you haven't done it before? It was your first time, you were nervous, you were scared. Well, think about those things and decide, how did you handle them? Think about those things and your success record. Think about those things and whether or not you were able to finish. Now, your success record may not be a 4.0, it might be a 3.5, it might be a 3.87. Whatever that is, take that in consideration and count your wins and apply it to a new challenge. Okay, so if you don't have the confidence yet, I want to encourage you to encourage yourself based on what you have seen yourself do as well as others. Do you know someone, whether they are a family member, a friend, an aunt, or perhaps someone online? Have you been able to identify with someone who has a similar background as you or has taken a path that you want to take and they were able to accomplish it? Go ahead and listen to their story if they offer it for you to listen to and see how they were able to navigate that. Perhaps by listening to how they were able to navigate and make changes and adjustments and address challenges and fears and do it anyway, perhaps that will help you to gain confidence as well. Next question. How do I explore different paths without feeling like I'm falling behind? Well, there are different ways to explore different paths. For me, one of the best experiences I had was the ability to temp in downtown Washington, D.C. And when I say temp, I mean I was employed with a temporary staffing agency that allowed me to get a broad view of many different fields and how different people worked in their environment. And so I was able to work in government agencies, corporate agencies, law firms. I was able to work in NGOs. I was able to work in educational settings. I was able to work with those who had special needs and those who were differently abled as a result of serving as temporary staff in these different places. Now, something else you could do, you could go to the Black-Liberation.Tech open educational resource, head over to lessons and take a look at the career lessons, and try out some of those prompts, try out some of those searches to see if there's something that strikes an interest with you based on what brings you joy, based on your gifts, based on your talent, based on what you do well, based on what you're curious about, and explore the different job opportunities that are available in those fields based on you as an individual. Also, take a look and do those searches to see people on Instagram, find people on LinkedIn, find people on YouTube who are telling their story as it relates to working in that field, going to school for that particular degree program, and see if anything resonates with you. Do you listen to their story and say, you know what, I identify with that. I love animals. I could be a vet, but what other types of jobs are there for those who love animals? And that can give you a broader view of different opportunities that can be available to you. Now, the second part of that question, how can you explore different paths without feeling like I'm falling behind? Know that you're allowed to change courses at any point in time. I went from working for a temporary staffing agency to working full-time as an executive administrative assistant to working as an accounts payable, accounts receivable coordinator for a property management company, to a teacher, a public high school biology teacher, to an instructional technologist in higher education, to a grant administrator in higher education, to someone who is a grant administrator as well as someone who designs and implements programs to give students opportunities that they would not have otherwise if I didn't help get them together. So I say all that to say, you don't have to fall behind just to check out different paths. You could just see them as turning points in your journey. And hopefully with each turn, you're advancing. So with each turn, in my journey, I advanced, meaning I was promoted, I was making more money, When I didn't have a job, I was able to get a job. Hello. So that was a good thing. So if you're not employed and you need a job, it's okay to explore something that wasn't necessarily on your list. And hopefully you'll count it as a learning experience. And so think about it like that, and that can help take the pressure off of feeling like you're falling behind. And although I've been working for many, many years, I still have many years ahead of me, and I'm open to learning what else is out there that I might be interested in. And I hope you do the same. Okay, next question. Is it okay to not have a 5-year plan if everyone else seems to? The short answer to that is yes, it's okay not to have a 5-year plan. And it's okay because you could still be figuring things out. Now, perhaps you're someone who you are working your way up the ladder, and what up the ladder, meaning getting a promotion, taking on more responsibility, you're on a leadership track or path, that can have different points of movement, and they could be within your department. It could mean moving into another department. It could mean moving to a different company or institution or organization in order to advance. What are you willing to do? And so, if you don't have a 5-year plan, just think about this. What is it that I want to accomplish? And how long do I think it will take for me to accomplish that? So, when I went to school to get a master's in education, it took me 3 years. I could have gotten it done in two, but the goal was to complete my master's of education and to keep teaching. But along the way, I started asking more questions and I learned about a whole nother field, public policy, that I was not aware of specifically. And as a result, that was another turning point in my journey. And I went on to obtain a master's in public policy. And that took me 2 years to complete. During my master's of public policy, I said, I actually don't want to get a PhD in public policy. What am I going to do? Well, I thought about it. I remember that someone said to get a PhD in whatever you love. And as a result, I landed on instructional technology. So within that time frame, if I was stuck on a 5-year plan, I could have kept going in a direction that would have left me back at teaching. And there's nothing wrong with teaching, but I figured out there was more than teaching that I could engage in and that I wanted to engage in. And I learned about it and I sought out and pursued it. And public policy has helped me with my grant administration piece and understanding the wider range of things that impact what happens in the classroom. And so I'm grateful for that. And I used it in my PhD program as well. Now, what do you do when the path you thought you wanted didn't fit anymore? Okay. So, in that first episode, go back and listen to it. I talk about a reality check from a cadaver. Once I realized that the medical school goal that I had from 17 years old until that point was no longer a good fit for me, I was a little saddened. But then I just recalculated, recalibrated, and because I had the education that would allow me to pursue it, it also allowed me to pursue other things. I didn't have to become a medical doctor just because I was pre-med biology. I could do other things with my skills, with my knowledge, with my background, and I looked into those things. I talked to my mother. She gave me advice and I followed her advice. And as a result, I went on a journey that I do not regret. It was very powerful to me. I taught over 1,600 high school students in 7 years, and I have people skills that are unmatched. Does that mean I don't fall short sometime? No, but I'm pretty good at what I do, and I have confidence in that. So if you find out that the path that you thought you wanted no longer fits, it's okay to pause. It's okay to stop. It's okay to reassess, reevaluate, and even think about something that you didn't consider before just by exploring and talking to people and see what it is that they do, what they like, and how they made decisions along their journey. Perhaps that can help you along your way. With all of that being said, I want to thank you for listening to another episode of the Black-Liberation.Tech Podcast. Please feel free to like, subscribe, and share, rate, and review the podcast to help it become more discoverable. And until next time, take care. Bye-bye.